12-game main slate here in the world of Major League Baseball. I'm Chris Spags, joined as always on Wednesdays with my good pal, the pizza roll eating, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun, Mr. Josh Engelman, better known as the Chubster to all of you. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm pretty good, actually. I don't know. I'm not feeling my best. Voice is slowly coming back. We'll see how that feels when I wake up tomorrow morning. But I don't know. Pushing through it. The wife got me sick, and then she bailed. Not like permanently, but like for the beginning of this week.
That's how women be. They'll give you a disease and then they'll just pounce on you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, Josh.
No, just a sore throat, stuffy nose. I don't know if that has any sort of other problems alongside of it.
Those can happen. That's just the cost of doing business in the world that we call, being single out in the world. But you're married, so I guess you should be diseased or
Yeah.
not. Well, diseased in a different way.
Now I need to convince her to pack a cheesesteak in her carry-on.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so make sure right now to go to the @Awesome_com Twitter handle on the pinned tweet. We do have a giveaway for NBA Game 3 of the NBA Finals Game 3, rather, would be the better way to put that. If you go there right now, if you guess the total points for the Warriors tonight, you'll be entered to win 3 months free of Awesemo Plus, our brand new premium membership. It's completely different than it was before, way better, I would say. But all the ownership projections, the rankings, the lineup builder tools, the deep dive column every day, top stacks tool. We're building things in every day to make you better at DFS. You can win 3 months of that free on the @Awesemo_com Twitter handle right now on that pin tweet. Let's go check it out. Go guess the score. What are you thinking about the game tonight, Josh? Who's going to get that? What's the score going to be for the Warriors?
Oh, man, it's so tricky right now. This team is on the ropes in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I can see this game getting slowed down a bit depending on Clay's health. I don't know. Give me 99.
Ooh,
101. I don't know. I'm feeling an under today.
Yeah, so the team total, at least the most recent one I have, would be 109-ish. So, which surprised me that they're a favorite. I wonder if that's come down a little. I probably should update that. Actually, no, I did update that. So that's still what it is.
Yeah, it was like 4.5 or something when I woke up this morning.
Yeah, it's at I think it's down to 4 on Fantasy Cruncher's over under that I import into my sheet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is overall. But yeah, I'd go 104, I think, for them. But I think Toronto wins it too.
I feel more comfortable going below the implied number than above it. Just from experience in the past, more people are likely to go high than low. So I think I can get a more unique guess and don't have to wonder if or think I won and then realize I chopped with 10 people like we've done for the first 2.
Yeah, that is going to be a popular. No, actually, no. The first one, the $1 million one, was like one dude had it because it was Pascal Siakam at captain and nobody had him in there. I think with Livingston. So that one, weirdly enough, the biggest tournament was like I think a 1-person split, at least on DK.
Oh no, I meant for our giveaway.
Oh right. Oh yeah, of course. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the chat and thinking showdown. But yeah, you're right. The giveaways have been chopped up quite a bit, and you can't use halves or fractions of a point because those don't actually occur. So unfortunately, it's not going to help you out in a Price is Right rules kind of way. But go check it out. We are picking a winner either way, even if it is a split. So it's just a random selection if it is a split. But go check it out on the @Awesemo_com Twitter handle, as you can see on Josh's screen right there. All right, Josh, let's talk about the most important part of the slate today, or really I feel like any slate, the pitching. And it's been really predictable and fun to go with top pitchers lately. But today, industry-wide, I would say we do have one pitcher who's coming up, I would say a neck above everybody else with Chris Sale. Chris Sale going to be pretty highly owned everywhere. Actually going to be the number 2 owned guy on DraftKings now because of the surging popularity of Yu Darvish, it looks like. But I still think Sale will be the number 1 guy to talk about. So what are you doing with Chris Sale on your lineups across all the sites?
Yeah, I agree. He's got the highest projection in Alex's model by a lot. He's actually the only guy on DraftKings projected north of 20 points, and he's clearing that mark by quite a bit. A lot of room to spare. It's hard for me to think that anybody other than Chris Sale is the best option today. DraftKings honestly would have been so much better off by flipping Chris Sale and Charlie Morton. You would have got a really interesting balance at the top, but for now, you're being forced to make this decision of what do I want to do with Chris Sale's ownership and how high is too high. And for right now, I mean, if I have the exact same amount of Chris Sale as the public, I'm fine with it. If it's way more than that, I'm fine with that as well. He's the best option. I don't think that it's close, but there are other really good pitchers at the top, whether that's Morton or Paxton, Mike Minor, depending on the site. I like Herman Marquez a lot on FanDuel. mean, you can even start getting into like Brad Peacock at 9,600 before you start tumbling. Carlos Carrasco was my top guy this morning. That,
The old Josh kiss of death.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, man. It's scary. It's rare. You don't ever want to, like, the less information you get is usually makes things scarier in the public, and this one doesn't look great. So hopefully everything is good for Carrasco in the long term. All that did was just remove him from the pitching slate, and I can see myself getting to a little bit more James Paxton now than I thought that I would get earlier today, a little bit more Peacock than I thought that I would get today. And then we need to figure out what in the world we do with a 45% owned Yu Darvish on a 12-game slate.
Yeah, so the sale part I think we should talk about a little more up top. I'm going there too, and honestly, I'm really getting fatigued of the top pitchers getting blown up, like Strasburg, Snell, those two guys. Like, I had lineups yesterday that I went unconventionally with the build. In particular, one with a Blue Jays Pirate stack. So the Pirates were the full stack, Blue Jays were a partial stack. So I went to the cheaper stacks to try to get in both Strasburg and Snell. And you know what the part of that lineup, Josh, that went south was? The Strasburg and Snell part, not the cheap stack part.
I was really happy at the beginning. I essentially full faded Strasburg. I don't think I had more than like 4 or 5% on either site. And that started off really well. I was like, oh, cool. It's not even home runs where the other team becomes a stack, because I knew I didn't have that. It was just base runners, pitches, singles, and runs. And I was like, cool. That's going to destroy Strasburg. It doesn't turn into a stack that I'm mad that I don't have. This couldn't be going any better. And then Miguel Cabrera decided to find the fountain of youth, or the fountain of testosterone, or whatever he found. And in one swing of the bat, just completely changed it. Which, I guess I shouldn't complain too much. I had like a really good day ultimately, but if Snell doesn't give up that grand slam, I might be talking about like a very different day instead of just, up half.
Yeah, so it's super frustrating for me to because I talked about it on the show yesterday on Live Before Lock with Jake, and I was like, yeah, Toronto's one that came up for me because they got some home run power going the other way. So it's frustrating to think about it, and then the top pitchers who usually you're paying up for a degree of safety, a degree of a floor at least. And both those guys, I mean, I guess they didn't get negative points. So that's, if you want to say that as a floor, that's a floor. But yeah, it's despite that burning me really bad yesterday, which I think, you can't get frustrated when you're doing this every day, when you're playing, both hosting shows and just playing every day as you guys are out there. I'm going back to Chris Sale today. So with that as the lens to view it through. Yeah. Despite that, I think it's a spot to go back to Sale. Just the price works. I'm willing to take pitchers. Like, I had a lot of Noah Syndergaard yesterday. I'm willing to take pitchers when they are priced in a way where it does feel like they should be a bit higher priced because the output's usually there. And that is a situation where I am willing to go to Sale. And on that note, Josh, here's one to tee up for you. Sean V in the YouTube chat, and we are following both the YouTube chat and the premium Slack, of course, which you can get access to for half off your first month with the promo code LiveBeforeLock at awesemo.com. But Sean V here saying, Josh is on Sale heavy. That's my cue to fade Sale, LOL. Josh's chalk pitcher picks busting right and left. How do we rebut Sean V's take?
I mean, it didn't bust on Sunday. He went for 47. He went for 47 fantasy points. I don't know. I mean, look, it's gonna happen. I'm on here. What amounts to 5 out of the 7 days of the week, giving my thoughts for 6 months in baseball. It's gonna become a regular occurrence. Luckily for me, the thing that lets me know if it's working or not is a positive cash number, and that one just keeps climbing with fun numbers. So if they keep getting beat up, that's fine. It seems to be working out elsewhere, at least.
There you go. So that's the official Sean V rebuttal of the hour. I'm sure there'll be more, but I just wanted to tee that up because Sean V going right for the throat in the chat. as he is wont to do. But yeah, I mean, look, in general, and Sean V and a lot of people out there would question Vegas totals as a result of it. But ultimately, when you're playing the Vegas totals, you're going to be right more often than you're not. And that is generally why we advise that at awesemo.com and really everywhere in the DFS industry. Using Vegas totals is the point that you jump off for everything else. And when a pitcher has good stuff and is going against a team who strikes out and the Vegas total is there, that is generally a reason to do it, except in tournaments where you can go the other way. But as Josh mentioned, I mean, Moncada would have been a helpful part of a stack going against Strasburg, but the stack itself still wasn't that valuable. So that's the world of DFS. Welcome to MLB DFS.
Joe Band says, Josh would complain if he had trees with money growing on them in his backyard. You'd never know me if I had those trees, man. Think I'd be slumming it on this? Come on now.
I'd be hanging out at Josh's house, be like, hey, can I just get a sleepover and hang out under the tree? Can we go camping in your backyard?
Yeah. You think I'm gonna do this stream? I would never play DFS again, man.
Then we could afford to roster all the Chris Sale we want. I would keep playing if I had the money tree. Make your money tree work for you. That's what people always say when they're talking investments.
I'd be too busy on a yacht on some coast of Spain, just pouring champagne on myself, eating caviar off of all sorts of weird stuff. Be great. Be great.
You mentioned some of the higher price pitching pivots to Chris Sale out there. You got James Paxton, who is coming off of some degree of a pitch count, perhaps probably Roboshua, whose name I'll always mispronounce because he said it the one time and I did not remember it.
I think you're right.
Is it Roboshua? I feel like he corrected me and it was like Rabashua or something.
I mean, unless the O isn't long, that's the only thing that I would like.
I don't know. Well, anyway, in the chat, he's saying a quote from Paxton himself saying, imagine the next time it'll be somewhere around 80 to 85 pitches. And then the one after that, it should be normal up to 100. So this is after his last start. So yeah, I mean, I guess this quote would seem to indicate we're in the 80 to 85 range, maybe a little bit higher. I didn't get to Paxton. I also got a little bit to Morton. I had to force my way to Morton though, because projection-wise, he doesn't pop up for me. But I do think he's kind of a safer pivot. Even though we saw Snell get blown up, it is a spot here where Detroit on paper did grade out well versus a lefty yesterday. Morton going the spot against the righties here for Detroit, not quite as good. So I'm comfortable going to Morton a little bit as a pivot to Sale. But who would you go to if you were pivoting from Sale at a good volume?
Marquez.
Okay, I like Marquez too.
But really, any answer of Marquez, like this is just terrible analysis. Any answer of Morton, Paxton, or Marquez, like I'm pretty much cool with. Even Mike Minor for that matter. It really is for me just Sale and everybody else. And a lot of what I get at the top will be dictated by whether or not Chris Sale is the first guy in. And if he's not in, like the ownership of the pitcher against my stacks will dictate way more than which one of these guys I get. I assume two of them fall completely off. I get quite a bit of Sale. I get the most of Marquez, at least relative to salary or relative to ownership. And then who's at third? Actually, you know what? That might not even be true just because I might get some Cubs. It's gonna be fun. Do we get that Astros lineup yet? Because I can crunch shortly.
I don't think we have. The Astros are really ruining everything with their late lineups recently. They're back to that. They were so good for most of the year, and now they're being lazy again.
Yeah, I guess I could start crunching.
Yeah, you got everybody. Yeah, so right now every lineup is out besides the Astros. Actually, weather-wise, we should talk about that as well. Are there any games that you're worried about at all? Because I know on one of the sites I'm looking at right now, there is one game in red, the Mets game. But I don't know if you're worried about anything.
Worried? No. But it kind of dictates pitching. What I really want to do actually is just run my crunches and see what I get and see if any of those correspond to any pitchers I get with a lot of volume. And if I don't, then I don't have to fix it. And if I do, I'll dig in a little bit more. That's really my issue right now because at this point, I'm not super worried about the postponement. I'm worried about the start and delay. So as long as I can dodge the start and delay, I think we'll be all right.
There's a very funny chat in the premium Slack, which I won't read out loud, but if you want to read it, if you want to read it, go sign up for a premium account at Osmo.com. Get an Osmo Plus membership with that promo code live before lock.
Was it Makad?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to skip that one today.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like Marquez as well. I think he's in a nice spot. And I think we should use this transition to talk about you, but the wind is blowing in there. Obviously Wrigley Field, when the wind is blowing in, it's going to be a nice pitching park in general. Marquez able to miss bats, being away from Coors, certainly never a bad spot, even though he is playable in Coors as well. So I'm with you on Marquez, and I don't really see an issue with him. I think just Morton to me, I think people will be a little bit more afraid of Morton. And actually, what's the ownership? We have Marquez for 13% on DK, and Morton we have for 8%. So you got to pay a little more to get there, but lower ownership for Morton, I think I'm willing to take a shot at him, even though the strikeout stuff maybe not quite worth that price tag. Kind of similar to the Dodgers pitchers, I feel like, where he's being priced mostly because he's limiting damage, and the strikeouts maybe not as great as Sale or some of the other guys we've had recently.
Yeah, he's just really expensive. That's really the only issue. He's priced too high. Like if he were priced like he should be, he'd be a guy that we were going to talk about aggressively. But for some reason, DraftKings thought that he should be the top pitcher on the slate and not Chris Sale. And it makes for like a really weird divide.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's talk about Yu then, because I think he is the line that is on the other side of demarcation. His run totals come down throughout the day. We are now at a 3.3 implied runs going against Yu. Yu well priced everywhere. He's going. What was that?
Sorry, I was yelling like Soldier Boy.
Oh, okay. I thought I was wrong about the implied run total, or you had a better one. But yes, Yu.
Yeah, my bad on that one, man. I just couldn't help myself.
I didn't tee it up right. I should have picked up on that.
That's honestly, I should just not be doing that.
Too busy going through all the data that we have here from Awesemo.com. But yeah, no, I think the total here, the wind blowing in, like Yu's issue here is he actually doesn't even give up hard contact, he just straight up gives up home runs, and he also walks guys, which has gotten a little bit better. But the walking guys, the giving up home runs, a tough combination for a pitcher. But the strikeouts have been there for him, under 11 Ks per nine going back to last year. Also strikes out righties at a stronger clip, 12 Ks per nine. So I'm willing to go there with the wind blowing in. I feel like the wind should take away one big aspect of his issues. The walking part, if that's been getting better, even better. But at that price, a guy with big strikeout upside, I'm willing to pay $7,000 for him on DK and similar prices everywhere else.
I'm so nervous about this.
Okay.
And it's not because I don't think it's good. He grades out really well. Alex's projections have him at 19.4, which is a similar score to all of these guys that are at the 10K level. So I understand why he's getting that ownership. It makes perfect sense to me. I worry about the mid-range when it happens like this. The problem really is that I don't have a ton of interest in the Rockies. And the good news is the public doesn't either. So if you want to get to a hedge of Yu Darvish and go to some Rockies, you can do that. And basically, if you're a 150 lineup person, you're not even making a dent in your exposure just to take that little bit of a stand. I assume that I end up with like 3 or 4 times the field of the Rockies, since they're going to be at like 1% owned. But I'm going to have Darvish in it wouldn't shock me if I'm around the field, just because he's on a different level than everything around him. And I don't necessarily need to just be different and try to get Jake Junis and Desclafani and Joe Musgrove in aggressive amounts, because I feel like I'm going to just regret that in the long run. Okay.
Yeah, so like in the morning, I was thinking maybe DeSclafani was a logical pivot, given that St. Louis is going to have some ownership. It is a pitching park, and DeSclafani is a guy who can do well versus righties. But the lineup that St. Louis came out with, I think, is one of the stronger ones they could have put out there, in terms of just bumping some of the lefties and switch hitters up. And I just I didn't get there as much as I thought I would for like wanting to get to DeSclafani. The team total also is, I think, maybe came up like 0.1 since from the morning time when I first did my video. The Four Corners, watch it on YouTube. But yeah, like I think there are pivots around there which could be viable, but I think it may be a spot where you just don't need them. I mean, I get Yu's had some issues, but if like this is kind of the perfect Yu Darvish game where the wind's blowing in, kind of limiting the power, as I mentioned, and he can strike guys out, and the Rockies strike out. I mean, the lineup they have is an above league average. They're actually at a 20.6% clip, which would be a little bit under league average in terms of strikeouts, but striking out enough for the bottom of the order, specifically guys who really don't do much danger when you have McMahon, Desmond, Walters out there. I mean, Marquez as well, not doesn't strike out a lot for a pitcher, but not a good hitter by any stretch either. So I don't know. It's kind of a nice use spot, I guess, and I didn't see the value in a Rocky stack either.
Yeah, it should be good for you. You would expect it to. I'd rather get German Marquez than Darvish, but man, oh man, like for him to be 7,100 on DraftKings, it's just, again, like I just wish that he wasn't priced there, because it's creating this like aggressive chalk scenario. If he's priced at 8,100 right now, it messes with the Jimmy Nelson exposure. It completely changes the pay down option game across all of this. I mean, today is basically like for cash, it's you play Sale, you play Darvish, and then you figure out the rest of it from there. In GPPs, I mean, it might honestly just be as simple as I have 1/5 the field to Sale, 1/5 the field to Darvish, and I hope for the best. But if I'm doing that, I'm more likely to have, honestly, more of Darvish than I am of Sale, if that's my strategy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the price works for me. And as you mentioned, the projections on our site at Osmo.com, as part of your Osmo Plus membership, you get we have a projection for him on DK of 19.4 points, which normally we don't give away the straight projections, but that does kind of paint the picture Josh is talking about here, where you also have Herman Marquez in the same game projected for 0.3 more, despite being a better pitcher and going against a better hitting team, but still. It's just a nice projection, a nice spot for you on paper, and we've seen how that can go over the days. So if you want to do like Josh said and get a fifth or even half of you and Sale, it'll probably be different from a lot of lineups from the jump.
Yeah, if you're playing a lineup of Sale plus Darvish in a GPP, be very aware of who your primary stack is.
I agree with that there. I have a good amount of Angels for that reason. I have some, I went with a little bit more weird power focused stacks just because of that reason, where honestly running our projections straight away without any caps, I think I got 100% Sale and 100% Darvish, which obviously not ideal, but that was what I was getting on Fantasy Cruncher.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Who else? You mentioned Jimmy Nelson, who's a guy who is kind of bandied about for the last few years. He's been out of the league for a couple of years because I believe of shoulder issues. He's been in the minors, has a pretty good minor strikeout rate, which I had in front of me earlier today, but I don't have right now, but one above 10 Ks per nine in the minors. Has had some walk issues, as the deeper dive guys pointed out in the show before us. Going against the Marlins here, a team who people may be chasing a little bit after yesterday's big game. Doesn't seem like it's there ownership-wise, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit more Marlins stacking than you would otherwise after they put up 15 runs. Jimmy Nelson looks like he's in a good spot here. I have no problem with him. I didn't get to him quite as much because of the U thing. If you want to do the U sound again, please, by all means. But Jimmy Nelson, what are you doing with him?
I hope that I get none.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with like my actual thoughts on him. I think he's a really good pitcher. I think he was fantastic in 2017. He's the kind of guy that would not be priced at 8,200 today if that guy was still pitching. But he's not. It's his first start since the end of 2017 in the majors. And his command in the minors so far this season has been shaky, and that concerns me a lot. If Jimmy Nelson is projected for like 5% ownership today, I get that as this GPP pivot, a real interesting, potentially high upside guy who's got stuff. With him being the third most owned guy on DraftKings right now, I just don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. The Marlins are bad, and I certainly don't expect the Marlins to drop a 15 burger on them or whatever they did last night. I don't expect that stuff. He's getting the best possible matchup that he can get coming back to the majors, for sure. But is he the same guy that he was in 2017? I'm not confident that he is. He might end up who would be a good comp for this? I don't know, like Max Fried last year or something, where you see the stuff, you can get a bunch of strikeouts, but you're not confident that he's not going to have 4 walks as well. And he's got 7 Ks, 4 walks, 1 hit in 4 2/3, but he's already at 90 pitches. Like, I can't imagine he's going like deep into this game. I'd say like 100 pitches is probably the ceiling for him. I can't do it today. Not for me today.
Yeah, I think he's a play who I like in conjunction with you when in the lineups a few I have without Sale, where I was like, all right, I'll try to get a little cheaper here. Maybe that gets me some of the higher price bats, and like Boston, maybe I get a full Boston stack out of it. Or now that we know that Minnesota's not going to be going against Carrasco, I didn't get to Minnesota a bunch, but they are a team that has a ton of power. You're paying a premium for that power. So I think those are the spots there where maybe you can get a little different if you want to get Nelson in there. But I would agree, like a lot of ownership on a guy coming off of shoulder issues his first time in the majors in like 2 years. I think that's a perfectly viable reason to not go there, even ignoring the fact that the Marlins have been hitting better collectively, and they are in a park that favors some lefty power in particular. But in general, just they've been getting slowly better hitting as a team, even though they are still pretty bad. It's just not as easy of a spot as people may be locking it in as.
I hate that damn team.
Yesterday was something else. I mean, I didn't like Chase Anderson a lot because there was enough red flags to them where I didn't want to be heavily on him. And I did not foresee him keying off a day of 15 runs. That is certainly an unexpected outcome.
Yeah, that's for sure. It just kept going too. It wouldn't stop.
It did. Our guy Makad also asking about Martin Perez in the premium Slack. He's somebody who Makad feels like we haven't heard a lot about today. He was somebody I was curious about earlier in the day, but I'm still not sure what to make of him because his samples on the year are looking better, but still on paper pretty bad versus righties. Still giving up a ton of home run power. Still not striking guys out heavily, at least going back to a sample size of last year. But what are you doing with Martin Perez, or do you have any of the Cleveland side of the equation?
I won't have any Perez. I probably won't have any real Cleveland exposure either. That's basically just a no-go for me. Twins bats, though, look good.
I got a little bit of Cleveland, and I don't hate it because Perez, I don't know, like I know the deeper dive guys have gone in length about his changing of the pitch types and integrating some more stuff and kind of switching that, and that may be leading to some material changes. But on the year, it seems like his numbers are slowly coming back down to earth in a way where I don't know if the changes he's made are sustainable or if they're just gotten figured out, where he's better than he was going back to last year. Like this year, he has an 8.5 hit per nine number, 8.8 Ks per nine. Going back to last year overall, 10.7 hits per nine, 6.8 Ks per nine. So he is doing better and he's missing bats better, but it doesn't make him a good pitcher. And I think we've kind of maybe been treating him like he's a good pitcher. So I don't mind going against him here. I could see why you'd go with him because I don't I don't really fear Cleveland in any way. I think Luplow is the best hitter in there, the Ginger Assassin, of course, as he's known affectionately on this show. But yeah, I really don't have a strong stance on it either way. But I didn't play any Perez and I did play some Cleveland, so that's how I kind of shake out on it.
I haven't played Perez all year.
Yeah, so. I played him a couple times when he was looking like he turned it around. He actually did have some nice showings there, but he's a guy sort of like Frankie Montas, where it's like, all right, I get you've gotten the results, but I'm not buying in based on the stuff that we just look at every day.
Sure.
And I think those takes tend to be more right than wrong overall.
I don't disagree.
Anybody else pitching wise you're getting a lot of before we do the dong picks, because we are at the halfway point of the show?
I probably have 2 or 3 times the field of Joe Musgrove when all is said and done. At least that's my guess. But that's probably it.
He's cheap, but very prone to getting blown up. And this is something, too, where I've talked about it on the Four Corners videos a lot. But the Pittsburgh Park's been giving a lot of production up. And that's why it didn't shock me yesterday that Fried got blown up. And Atlanta as well ended up putting up a ton of runs on the board in that game. Giving up boosts and everything, including home runs, including triples, especially triples and doubles. And overall, just runs being generated there. And Musgrove struggles versus lefties. So you're getting one of the better lefty hitters in there with Freddie Freeman. You also have Markakis, who can hit professionally, even though he doesn't have a ton of power. McCann too. Like I don't hate him either. Like I have some stacks of Atlanta, definitely more stacks of Atlanta than Musgrove.
Yeah, I will definitely have more I will definitely have more Musgrove than Atlanta.
Okay, fair enough.
Not that I'm happy about that. He just happens to be 5,600.
All right. Yeah, no, the price is definitely right for him. He was in the high 7,000s, 8,000s at one point, and he's just slowly matriculating down.
Yeah, that makes me a little bit happier. Because if he were 64 or something, I'd feel a lot less happy about it.
All right, it's the halfway point of the show. Let's switch over to dong picks. And yesterday, I believe I'm the only one who got a home run, unless one of you guys didn't report it in.
I don't know.
Yeah, Renato Nunez, I don't recall getting one. I know it was Smith and yeah.
There were a couple dongs from Baltimore right out of the gate, but I don't think Nunez was one of them.
Yeah, surprisingly, out of all the people that did hit. But on the year now, Emax still in the lead with 12 in terms of correct picks. It is now, so in terms of total dongs, there is now a 3-way tie for second place with all of us tied with 9 total dongs on the year. But in terms of correct picks, number 2 is a tie between Jake and myself with 9. And in terms of correct picks, Josh, who also does have the least slightly overall picks made, Josh is in last place now with 8 correct picks on the year. So today's your day to remedy it, Josh.
Yeah, I've gone on I had a stretch where I went back to back with Baez and Rosario, but otherwise it was just bookended by zeros across the board. So I need to snap out of it.
You're on a bit of a Jake Hari baseball savant style cold run, but that always is followed by or precedes the hot run. So give me your pick. The gentleman will allow you to go first.
Oh boy, here we go. I'm going to go with the guy that got me my last dong. Give me Eddie Rosario.
Ooh, all right. Eddie Rosario on the board for Josh. Probably wouldn't have gone that way if Carrasco were pitching, would you have?
No, probably not.
All right. For me, I'm trying to think who I have the most of. Oh, okay. So here's a weird one, and I don't know that I don't feel great about it now that I'm going to say it out loud.
I'm so excited for this.
So I'm couching it. Shohei Ohtani is going to be my pick because I've had him in a lot of lineups today. I'd like the spot here against Megden. Megden, to me, just seems really due for home run regression because he's given up a ton of hard contact, not missing bats. Now he's in Angels Park, which has more home runs produced, the top 5 home run park on the year. And Ohtani, the isolated power hasn't been there, as I've talked on the videos, but just hit home run yesterday, so maybe he figured it out just overnight. So Shohei Ohtani.
He is 13th in my model.
Ooh.
However, I don't know what's up with him. So, oi.
Matt Rappaport in the chat, by the way, to close the loop on Joe Musgrove. Josh, I got a lot of Musgrove. Chris, he will get blown up. So Matt Rappaport feeling confident in his picks already. That's what we want before the lineups are even locked.
Yeah.
And if EMAC and Jake have any picks, we'll let you guys know. Of course, EMAC is the clubhouse leader. So if you want to tail his picks, you can do no wrong. Every time I've said that on a show, he has not gotten one correct. So,
well, I hope you're right today.
Got to keep reverse jinxing EMAC just to get him down back to the pack.
Jake, pick is in.
Ooh, Jake is going with Ji-Man Choi. Ooh, a very East Asian flair to the home run picks today.
Coming in 91st in the model.
Not great.
No.
Oh, and EMAC's not sticking with the Asian American theme or just Asian theme. Nomar Mazara, who I guess I don't even know what he is.
Dominican,
is he even
maybe?
on the chart?
Cuban?
Oh, okay.
I'm just guessing.
Sure.
He is Dominican. I was right the first time.
Seems fair.
Mazara 33rd in the model.
That is higher than I would have thought.
Got some pop. I have my crunches done.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's talk about that. Well, actually, before you talk about that, if you want to do your crunches the best way you can, use that promo code live before lock, get half off the first month or week, actually, of any package we have as Osmo.com. All the new Osmo Plus memberships, they are special and better than ever with the ownership projections, the rankings, the regular projections. You can plug right into Fantasy Cruncher, the top stacks tool, which is one of the things that Josh looks at, that Jake looks at, that I look at every day. All of the people here on staff, we look at and cite because it's one way to kind of pare your lineups down fast. So again, a lot of things are going to make you better at building lineups every day. Use that promo code live before lock on Osmo.com on any Osmo Plus membership. What are you getting, Josh, stack-wise?
I'm refreshing right now, so let's take a look. Gotta make sure all my stuff is set up. Yeah, it is. All right, so on DraftKings, this is without any changes moving forward. 65 Sale, 27 Marquez, 13 Peacock, 38 Darvish, 11 to Desclafani, 11 to Gaussman, 13 to Musgrove. Most of that makes some sense to me. Got a little bit more Jimmy Nelson than I was expecting. And in terms of hitter exposure, top stacks for me.
Just give me top one right now. Let's tease it out a little.
All right, Baltimore.
All right, Baltimore. Ooh, okay. Why? Why are they popping up?
That's a really good question. They're cheap, easy to get to, easily stackable, a little bit of a bump for leverage, nothing too crazy. I have too much of them right now. I have 15% aggregate compared to the field at 5, so I'm going to walk that back a bit, but I'm going to end up double the field on the Orioles.
Interesting. I mean, it's a low team total for being in Texas in a day where it is still warming up there. It is humid. Actually, the weather forecast I have on my sheet, which is imported for one of the sites out there, just says humid is the way instead of cloudy or partly cloudy, just humid. Okay. Yeah, and the Texas bullpen is bad. So, you know what? Fair point. I think the fact the price is down. I'm a little bit afraid of Minor just because Minor's been more good than not on the year. But yeah, all right, fair enough. I didn't get there much for mine, but give me your number 2.
Number 2, yeah, wow, I walked back the Orioles already, and I don't want to say that they tumbled, but they are now 3rd in aggregate, but I'm still doubled up on the field. Number 1 is the Yanks, number 2, the A's.
Okay, so the Yankees are an interesting spot, and we didn't actually talk about them at enough length yesterday, but Rogers has given up a ton of home runs on the year, and also the park factor's favoring triples too, so all the big plays that'll get you fantasy points here are good. And Thornton is a guy who gives it up pretty well to the left side of the plate, even though there's not a lot of lefties in that lineup. I think in general, though, he seems like a guy who's probably due to give a little more to the right side. So I'm with that take. Anybody in particular getting a lot of it in that stack?
Let's take a look. Sanchez and Morales are the 2 most owned. Gleyber Torres coming in 3rd. Most of my ownership is concentrated at the top. Not a lot of Luke Voit, unfortunately, which I feel like I'll pay for.
Yeah, Voigt's been weird. He just hasn't been hitting home runs whenever I have him in a lineup, but he always grades out well, like every day, because he has a ton of power, at least going back to last year. He just hasn't fully manifested it, even though he got a 6% home run rate on the year. So I think I just missed out on the early season Luke Voit home runs, and now he's just been kind of doing okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Just totally anecdotal on my end, but been missing out on a lot of Luke Voit, and everybody else in that lineup is doing well, but Voigt's not getting it done for me. People asking if you have any John Means. Of course, America's hero. You must have some.
0.
I actually don't have any John Means today either.
Nor should you.
If you could make a case going against the lefty. I mean, the Rangers as a lefty is a spot which has been pretty bad for the Rangers on the year, almost actually above a 27% strikeout rate. So that's not good. But yeah, Means, I've kind of come off the Means train a little bit, which makes me sad.
It should make you sad.
In this spot, maybe not a great one. If there were more ownership on Texas, I would have been willing to go there just to try to get that famous Josh leverage on the other side, which, at his price, at John Means' price, that would have been nice. But the strikeouts have been coming down in a way where, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's getting a little bit figured out when people watch the tape and realize that his changeup is just hanging in the air every time. And even though it's good, you can just time it out if you know it's coming. And that's my experience watching John Means pitch.
I hope he gets bombed.
I hope he has a good day. I'll root for him even though I don't have him. I don't want him to have 40 fantasy points, but he gets you 20. I'll be happy with that. I support John Means from afar.
John Means gets 20 today. I'm going to cry.
You don't have a lot of Texas though, do you?
He's projected for half of that by Alex, so there's that.
Sure. Yeah. Projections are much like rules are made to be broken.
Yeah, well, hopefully not that one.
I think Alex once said in one of his videos where he was like, if your projections are right, you're still going to be wrong. Or no, he said something like that. You want your projections to be wrong, I think is what he said in one of the videos, where it's like you want it to exceed value. So he's just being conservative with John Means. He's just playing it close to the vest. Got to play a little coy with old John Means.
That's what he's doing.
That's what the projections try to do. Just keep it smooth, like a girl. When you're talking to a girl at the bar, you want to just play a little coy. You want to shift your seat away from her. You don't want to give her too much straight on body contact. Make her earn it,
I guess.
Stack wise, who was the one that you mentioned besides the Yankees? I forgot.
Oakland.
Oh, okay, Oakland. I'm intrigued by Oakland. So, what's the deal with Cam Bedrosian? Why is there a reliever who's an opener 9K on DraftKings?
I have no idea. Missed an accident, I guess. It's showdown pricing. That was Adam's guess this morning.
Interesting. A strange screw up there, but don't play Cam Bedrosian at 9K. I think would be the one thing I would say.
Don't play Felix Pena at whatever his price is either.
So he was good at that price last week, and I didn't go back there today. I guess a little bit cheaper last week, and that was one that Jake and I debated on the show. But he's been better. He's been better at kind of keeping things in pocket, I think. And I think the shorter stints have helped him out. His swing strike rate's been up. Still giving up hard contact, still giving up home runs. But I agreed I wouldn't play him today because I think Oakland's got a ton of power that I wouldn't want in Angel Stadium going against Pena, who can give up power. But he's been better this year, so I wouldn't discredit Felix Pena in that same way.
Yeah, he just doesn't grade out all that well for me today. If I look at, let me hop back to the table. I mean, the fact that he's 78, he's more expensive than Yu Darvish today. At 7.5 less fantasy points per Alex. That's just craziness. You can't. It's really hard to justify today.
I think you can justify it through the lens of there's a lot of ownership on Oakland, and if he does bring decent strikeout stuff and get them to go, I mean, they don't strike out a ton, but I think you can make a case for it. But that price is a little high, and I agree. I'd rather pay the $700 less for you. But in tournaments, like if you're doing 150, I think there's a tournament logic in going to Pena.
It's a tough sell for me today.
Okay, fair enough. Who else are you getting stacked? Give me a weird stack that's popping up for you besides Baltimore.
Blue Jays. I have twice the field of the Blue Jays right now.
Oh, go because of the Paxton leverage?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate it.
It's mostly Vlad Guerrero and Grichuk, Danny Jansen in the 9-hole as a catcher. I'm cool with all of that. But
I was a little more on it yesterday with Tanaka, just because Tanaka. I mean, Paxton's giving up home runs too, a little bit to the right side of the plate. So yeah, I can get there. I can get there. I thought it was a little more obvious with Tanaka yesterday that there would be some people doing something there, which it wasn't enough for a full stack. But as we talked about on the show, I was really happy with that take. The mini stack ended up being good, but the full stack's not so good.
The Twins right now are the team that I'm most over the field on both sites combined.
Okay. I like the Twins. And there's a logic in going there. I guess you're still paying, they weren't priced down for the Carrasco matchup at all.
Check out that top stack percentage with relationship to the ownership. If you check out our top stacks tool, that's what you're missing out on, people.
I don't know if I updated it recently enough, but let me double check. Is it still 4% to 1%?
way bigger numbers than that.
Oh, yeah, it's like 8 times, almost 8 times. I guess, well, closer to 4 times, but yeah, okay. Yeah. There's a logic there for sure.
Yeah.
Ownership is not there for Minnesota at all, appreciably.
Yeah, so that's my spot for right now.
Yeah, there you go. As Josh mentioned, that is one way to pare things down. And if you just sort just by top stacks and then look at the ownership percentage, you don't even have to put it into Excel or anything. Just look straight away on the site. If you get that premium membership, it's awesemo.com. Use that promo code live before lock for half off. But I have to slip the plug in, but like it genuinely is a way to pare things down fast. If you are a person who's just getting off work, you want to make some lineups, this is one thing that will help you get out there and figure out where the field is. And we'll get this one for free. The Twins, since Josh mentioned it, they are projected. They have an 8.2% chance to be the top scoring stack today, despite they're only going to have 1.7% ownership on DraftKings, and similar on FanDuel as well, an 8.4% chance, but only 4.2% ownership. And on Yahoo, same thing, 8% chance of being the top stack and 4.2% ownership. So every site you could play today, they are a stack that pops out as being worth more than the ownership they have.
I'm pumped.
It's a good one. That's one that's logical, especially with that total just soaring through the roof. I don't love going against bullpen days, and the Cleveland bullpen has been good enough. But if you're going to go with anybody, the Twins are just hitting everyone really well, hitting both sides of the plate. They're now the best team versus both lefties and righties.
Dirty lineup, man. Tons of power there.
Yeah.
I have no problem being hitched to that wagon, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're getting anytime you can get, and you've talked about this with the Brewers a couple times, but anytime you can get low-owned power, that's sort of the spot you want to be at. And that is one where the Twins are in a park that's better than theirs in terms of hitting too, their home park rather. And yeah, that's a good call. Potentially.
Dope.
Sean V would probably disagree.
Wow. He likes being wrong.
Sean V, chime in with your take on the Twins in the chat. I just want to know where you stand. Speaking of the Brewers, what about them going against Sandy Alcantara, given the fact that he struggles versus lefties and lefty power, and Milwaukee does help out lefty power, and they're going with a bunch of lefties of various prices?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit north of their chalkiness on FanDuel, actually, and a little bit under on them on DK. So for the most part, I'm just kind of running with the pack on the Brew Crew, and that's fine by me. I don't like days where I don't have them because of how much power they have. But on FanDuel, they're way easier to get to. You know, you get guys like Ben Gamel hitting leadoff for only 2,300. So for the Brewers right now, I have everybody between 11 and 16% on FanDuel, whereas the extremes in our ownership are bigger. Like Orlando Arcia is only at 2%, but Travis Shaw is at 25%. So I'm kind of just flattening out the Brewers and getting more of the guys that the public doesn't have and less of the guys that they do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to pay those prices on DraftKings where you have Christian Yelich, who's actually priced more than some of the pitchers we now have on the slate at 6K. And then you have the other guys there, Moustakas 5,600, Grandal 5,100, Thames 5,100. And you basically need the savings from Travis Shaw to get there but he's been so bad on the year too, where I don't know, that worries me a little bit. So I didn't get there as much as I would have liked to. And yeah, they are going to be less owned than their potential of being the top stack based on that top stack tool as well.
Yeah. They're an interesting team today.
Such high prices though. Like Alcantara is not that bad. He's been bad versus lefties, but he's still like not giving up hard contact and mostly keeping the damage in.
Yeah, he's solid.
Is he a guy you would roster at pitcher today, given that that the Brewers are going to have some ownership?
I do not have him at all.
Okay.
I have I got to like Desclafani and Gausman instead.
Okay, that's fair. Gausman, interesting.
Yep. He's just too cheap. Like he's a better pitcher than a $6,700 pitcher, ignoring whatever the hell it was that happened to him in his last start.
Yeah, I don't like going against Pittsburgh. Like I think they really know how to use that home park well. Like every time I've stacked them up, it's gone well for me, and that's obviously anecdotal as well. But you know, they've just been good. I think people kind of sleep on them, but they've what 1, 2, 3. Everybody in their lineup besides Diaz and Newman are above a 114 or 112 WRC plus versus a righty. And they're not cheap now because Josh Bell is priced like Mike Trout. But besides that, they are guys who are hitting well, and I think maybe worth some exposure the other way too.
Yeah, it's a little scary to me just because of the lefty bats that they do have. I mean, Gausman's going to be getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lefties. Yeah, 5 lefties. So not great for me, but at his price tag, there's not a lot of guys that have his sort of like strikeout upside on a day-to-day basis. And at 6,700, I don't really need all that much from him.
Oh, speaking of that, actually, we just got a tweet from the @Osmo Weather handle, which again is where the boss man, Alex Baker, is using his meteorology degree that he got, I guess, by proxy from his dad. So you pick that up by birth, you pick up a meteorology degree. And he's reporting on the Pittsburgh delay. Don't like the Pittsburgh delay because the start was part of the window to play and it might rain until 9-ish. I think there's a chance of postponement if they're unlucky now. So not crazy about Pittsburgh, but I guess not a full stay away yet.
Yeah, that's a little concerning to me. What time does that game start? Oh, 7:05. Okay. That's scary to me.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It's going to be a classic Josh ride and hope or a classic Josh pivot away and then pray it doesn't go off.
I barely have any Pirates, and I'm under the field on the Braves. So really what this does come down to is Musgrove and Gausman. And that's kind of scary to me because I do have 15% aggregate ownership to the two of those guys. I'm probably just going to let it ride.
Yeah, I have a couple Braves stacks that, but not enough where I might just let it ride too. But I think it might be time if you are making lineups and you have this in any volume, I would certainly decrease that volume and maybe come off it entirely.
I'm not excited about it, but to pull Gausman and Musgrove out right now would dramatically change the scope of my construction. And at this point, I'm down to take the risk. They're already, like, Gausman and Musgrove are already barely getting any ownership. I'd be happy if that just pulls away. If I can get one of them to go 5 innings, I think I'll be cool with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. The early start ones, I feel like in particular, I would not feel great about an early start one where you're locked the second the slate locks. And you just don't know the status.
It's going to be terrifying.
Well, yeah. So that's the official update. Now, of course, follow the @Osmo Weather Twitter handle to keep updated on all that stuff when it came through. That tweet was 5 minutes ago, so you can see it the second that they come out if you want an additional weather worldview to have in your life. All right, what else stack wise should we hit on here? I'm trying to think. Oh, how about the Mets game? Because that's one that also has some rain issues, or at least has had on the day. But the spot for going against Jason Vargas could be a good one, given that this Giants lineup is starting to hit with a little more power, or at least getting guys in there who do theoretically have power. And Vargas can certainly give it up. Are you playing this game at all too, or is the weather maybe a concern combined with not playing it?
I'm neutral on the Giants, just a hair ahead of the field on FanDuel, a hair below on DraftKings. So I don't have anything interesting coming from there. But the Mets are my biggest fade relative to the public.
Okay.
The Mets and the Braves are at the bottom of my exposure relative to the public across both sites.
Oh yeah, they've got some ownership on them, huh?
Yeah. I guess biggest fades from bottom to top. Mets, Braves, Astros, Tigers, Rays, Pirates.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting one. I kind of like that game. I didn't get there though, because the weather on every site I was checking throughout the day was red, and it just kind of spooked me off enough where I didn't force it, because when we do the show, I can't pivot around, or at least try not to. So I didn't get there as much, but I feel kind of okay not being there a lot. I don't know if it's going to be owned, but also has some weather risks, and it's not the spot I want to be necessarily. Both sides are going to be over-owned, it looks like, actually.
I'm happy to not be there.
Oh, the YouTube chat is it always? I feel like they haven't been this trolly of you this entire time. But Kevin Miller, yes, love Josh's off nets.
That's fine. They can have it. I'll keep winning. It's cool with me.
Oh boy, guys, I support positivity. I know Josh enjoys the maggots, but if you want to give all the hate towards Josh and give me all of your love, I will bathe in it whenever you guys want to offer that.
That's fine. I'll see you guys at the top.
Let's see. Anybody else we need to hit on? I feel like we covered any leverage for you against Chris Sale, because I'm actually looking at one lineup now with the Braves that I just adjusted, which does have one of my Royal stacks going against Sale.
I assume I don't have any. Now I have flat 0 of the Royals. I think they're the only team I don't have any of. Nope, I don't have any Rockies either.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I don't have any Rockies either because I'm riding with you today. This is probably the one which could hurt, but I am not hedging. I am just going straight you today. Soldier Boy, tell him.
You.
Checking for questions now. 24% John Means. What could possibly go wrong? I think nothing. Even if he does a bad day, you at least were on the right side of history.
I can't advocate for that at all. Even ignoring my thoughts on John Means, 6 times the field on him today seems like a pretty aggressive stance to take.
Kevin Miller. I never like when my stacks are touted. Okay, sure. It felt like the Sean V pylon group, and I'm not protecting Josh. I'm merely pointing out that Josh hate. I'm merely a narrator on the ride of people being mean.
Dude, I hope everybody hates everything that I say. It makes the victories sweeter.
St. Louis. I would like an awesome weather update on St. Louis if we have one. The last tweet we had about St. Louis an hour ago was St. Louis has the potential for severe weather, but chances are good the storm doesn't last long enough to cause a postponement. I'm not interested in pitchers, but it's a spot I'll monitor until it locks for batters. Was the last update on there. So I'd be curious if that's still the same take.
Yeah, I'm a hair north of the field on the Cards and the Reds from a stack perspective. And then I have Desclafani, obviously. So
yeah, I ended up getting a good amount of cards, and I usually like going against Desclafani, but I just get pause whenever they're going to be kind of chalky. And the Top Stacks tool does say they're going to be a bit overowned. So when you magnify that for weather, it might not be a bad spot to go a little under the Cards, but the prices are nice for those top guys especially.
Before I forget, a little bit of a plug. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin will be live before lock talking the RBC Canadian Open. So PGA show tonight at 9. Tune in.
Yeah, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when they go live. We have a ton of PGA content, which is sometimes outside the normal programming hours, but you can hang out at home, put it on your iPad while you're watching the NBA game, have a blast with it. Okay. YouTube chat, nothing good. What about Sale as SP1 and Nelson as SP2?
I mean, I like the Sale piece.
I don't mind the Nelson piece either. I don't know what stack you'd be going with there, which I think are like which main stack.
Yeah, I would need to know tournament too, or like contest type. With Sale and Nelson being 2 of the 3 most owned guys, the rest of that lineup matters a little bit more.
Yeah, weather aside, I wouldn't have minded that Giants stack going against it, though it does have decent ownership on it relative to its potential of being the top stack today. But yeah, you go there, or you go with Josh's hedge, or not hedge, but counter leverage stack there against James Paxton with Toronto. I think it just depends on what you're going with. But as long as you're going with one of the ones that's kind of good leverage in a situation where there should be home runs hit or could be home runs hit, I think that would be a decent move.
Also, I guess I forgot to plug. Yeah, Fast Eddie tonight. You said the game is at 9 today?
Yeah, 9 Eastern tip-off.
Okay, so he'll be starting up probably like 8:15, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You going with our boy Rinpack, also co-host today?
I would assume so, but I honestly don't know right now.
Yeah, so go check it out. Again, subscribe for that as well. Hit the notification bell so you know when they go live. But got content going up here on all hours of the channel. Whenever there's a sport going on of note, we usually have some content going up around it. So be aware of that, I guess. Sir Legend in the premium Slack asking, would you go Sale and Mathis or Jimmy Nelson and Jason Castro to get a 5-man Minnesota stack? He's leaning Sale for safety and upside for a DK single entry. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, I'm going Sale plus whatever just because I don't want Jimmy Nelson.
Let me just look at Castro for a second. I would probably go with the Sale side too. I just hate Mathis so much that I wanted to think about that a little more. But yeah, I think Sale and Mathis, just take the price on Mathis to get the better pitcher in Sale.
Who's the other pitcher with Sale? I mean, that's what matters the most. Like, who's the other pitcher with Nelson? Who's the other pitcher with Sale? In a single entry, that matters.
Sure. Well, Sir Legend, if you have more information, drop it in there. We'll circle back to you. Checking both for questions now. Not fast Eddie tonight. Terry Wilson, caps lock challenging everybody in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Terry, I'll read this out loud. Terry Wilson Jr. challenged me on FD head to head. I want to test my skills, multiple exclamation points. I know I got to be better than most. That is That is the way you find out you are not, my friend.
Dude, I don't know if like my contacts are just blurry, which is possible because I don't think I've taken them out in a couple months, or I just read it wrong. But I could have swore that last line said, "I know I got to be better than moist." It's like because the I in the sentence previously is smack dab in between that O and S, so like it's like I pulled it straight down. I was like, moist, what?
You got to be better than moist. No, yeah. I mean, look, if you want to learn head to head, I think do that, but go with cheap head to head games if you want to learn that you're better than most, because there's a lot of people out there who are very good at this DFS stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better than moist tonight as well.
Kevin asking, does a Rocky stack make sense? It makes sense, but I think the wind blowing in would put me off of it personally. But Josh, you have some Rockies, right?
No, I basically don't have any. I actually tried to juice them up a little bit on FanDuel, just to like bump them up from nothing to like maybe 1 or 2, and even juicing them up, I couldn't get to them. So it's a really tough recommendation for me.
Yeah, I find it hard to get to them too. I mean, a low team total, wind blowing in. It's baseball DFS. This can happen at any time. You can have a bad day, and he certainly has enough signifiers that he can give up power. But to me, the logic favors him just not giving it up today, because the stuff he struggles with should be impeded by the weather blowing in or the wind blowing in. So that would be enough for me to not worry about it.
Yeah, I'm really nervous about my Yu Darvish ownership. I really hate it.
Hey, you're riding with the field. Sometimes you gotta have fun with the boys. Everybody gonna bomb with Yu Darvish together, or whatever.
I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm really on FanDuel, so I've got like double or more of the field on Brad Peacock and James Paxton, and that makes me pretty happy. On DraftKings, I don't have anything fun like that. I guess it's Desclafani and Gaussman and Joe Musgrove. So I don't exactly get as enamored with my lineups on DK as I do on FanDuel.
The Joe Musgrove lineups must really hurt you to lose him to the weather. I'm sure that would have gone really well for you. He would have gotten blown up. He would have given up so much production. Still may, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be just not a fun game to keep an eye on.
Also, if you're just tuning in and you want to know the home run picks, they are in. Josh went with Eddie Rosario, but that doesn't matter because Josh is in last place, so who even cares about his pick? Shohei Ohtani is my pick. G-Man Choi is Jake's pick. And the guy whose pick really matters here, the one who's in first place, your old pal Emac, the funniest guy on these streams. Nomar Mazara is his pick.
Suck it, Eric.
His other pitcher is Darvish, Sir Legend on the premium Slack, by the way, for that question we had before.
For both of them?
No, for his SP2. Yeah, I think the SP2 is going to be the same in both.
Jesus. Yeah, I would greatly. So I assume that the Twins are also the stack. Castro just gets you 5. So yeah, I would rather have Sale plus Darvish plus the Twins. Since the Twins are going completely unowned, I'm more than okay with having the 2 chalk pitchers. Because I agree with the chalk. So seems like the perfect way to do that would be to get to the Twins, who aren't getting any love whatsoever, and stick with chalk pitching. You'll look really different if that breaks the way that you wanted to.
Pedrito PR in the premium Slack asking again about the Mets game. Weather concern for you? I guess what's the final take on this now?
The Mets game?
Yep.
I hope it plays because I'm fading it. So in situations where I'm fading, I always want the game to play and for it to go my direction. The Giants I have a little bit of, but I'm happy to kill a bunch of Giants lineups. Just wish some of these games weren't starting at 7:00.
Yeah, it seems like the weather games right now are all in the early part of the slate, so that's not ideal. But yeah, I have some Giants still, but I'm not enough to really worry about. I'm willing to take a little bit of Giants because still like Tyler Austin, still like some of those guys against Vargas, but I wouldn't load up on them. I would want to have less than. I'd actually probably want to have less than the field now because the field's still gonna have some ownership.
Also, shout out to the Astros for sucking.
Did they not get a lineup in?
Not yet.
Wow, that's just a jerk move.
Yeah, I just hate having to be like, it happened. No, it happened yesterday, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Did Tyler White end up not in the lineup? Is that who it was?
Yep.
And it's like,
That's
correct. Cool. That's a really easy pivot considering he's 2,900 on DraftKings, dicks.
Same thing with Jack Mayfield, who popped up, and I think our projections maybe today, but it might have been in just like the general Fantasy Cruncher ones. And I'm like, I can't. If he's not in today, I'm just screwed. So I can't do this lineup. Like I just had to basically kill some Houston lineups because I just didn't want to have Mayfield in there. The guy can't swap at all.
Yeah, it wasn't fun on FanDuel. Then I had to like late swap optimize like 6 separate times just to slowly work his way out of there. He was in full stacks. He was a one-off because of his price. Like he was in every functional group of lineups. So I had to just throw out like it took me way longer to replace Tyler White than it ever should have.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a pain in the ass. Thankfully, my Tyler White yesterday had some like high price guys with it from the late games, but it's annoying. I just get your lineups in. Everybody, get your lineups in on time. We have to do it as DFS players. They need to do it as teams. I think it's only fair to ask that.
Yeah, if if it's Bregman that's out, I don't even care because that's like a super easy fix. You'll be able to pick anybody you want. But the second they start dropping the low salary guys, man, that sucks. And I had like 3 times the field of Tyler White yesterday, so it took like a lot of work, all for the low price dickhead.
Yeah, I was actually with you on that. I didn't have that much Tyler White, but I had enough where it was kind of annoying. But thankfully, like it was paired with lineups, and sometimes you got to think of that too. Like that just kind of organically happened for me, thankfully. But if these lineups aren't going to come out on time, maybe pair them with some guys who you can switch in the late games instead of stacking them up with like some of these early games. We also have question marks with that are locked now. Yeah, we are locked, by the way. So hit that like button, please, before you go today. Also, people in the YouTube chat, GQ asking what time is Eddie again. Eddie will be on at about 8:15 Eastern time, maybe a little bit earlier, but keep your eyes peeled on the channel. You'll know the second he goes live.
Yep.
Use that promo code live before lock now. Get half off your first month of any Osmo Plus package, our new premium offering at Osmo.com. It's everything was there before, but even better. All the ownership projections, the rankings, the regular projections you can plug right into Fantasy Cruncher. Of course, Fantasy Cruncher itself, the top stacks tool, the deep dive column every day. Really legitimately things that will make you better at MLB DFS or at your fingertips with that promo code live before lock. What are the plugs again for the channel, Josh, besides Eddie's show?
Tonight, 9 p.m., Ben Rossa, Jason Roslin talking PGA. Lock tomorrow, I think, is at like 7 a.m. So you probably want to try to get that stuff in tonight. But they'll be talking RBC Canadian Open.
Oh, that's right. And as Tom in the channel points out, all NBA content is free for the finals right now. So go check that out now, including my column right now. It's been free for most of the playoffs, but the playoff primer there, the DFS finals primer on the site. I talk in depth about everything. So if you have some time to kill before Eddie stuff, go check that out on the site. And we'll be back tomorrow with more content. So subscribe, hit that notification bell to know when we go live with any new content on the channel. And we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you again soon.